All right, guys, we're going to continue on with 8.4, which is slope-intercept form. Yesterday, we kind of went over what to do to get the y by itself, to put it in that y equals mx plus b form. Remember slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to go ahead and take this example and go over what you already know how to do. Get the y by itself. Remember, I can't fool with the y term first, because that's a multiplication and division. I got to get rid of the addition and subtraction. I have to get the x term to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3x from each side. So 3x minus 3x cancels. On the left side of the equal sign, I'm left with negative 2y. And remember what we learned yesterday. We want the x term to actually be on front of the other side. So bring the equal sign down. And since 10 minus 3x is not like terms, we cannot combine those. But I do want to put the x term in front. So don't write it as 10 minus 3x, but write it as negative 3x plus 10. Okay? So I still don't have the y by itself yet. We want to get this y equals mx plus b form. So next I have to divide every term by negative 2. Y equals. Now I noticed when some of you submitted your homework, in your final answer, you had negative 3x divided by negative 2. Don't leave it like that. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So just write it as 3 over 2x. Positive 10 minus 2, divided by negative 2, is negative 5. So now I have it in slope-intercept form. Y equals 3 over 2x minus 5. Okay? Now, this lesson and what I'm going to teach now is how to use this to graph. Okay? We know how to get the y by itself. We know how to put it in slope-intercept form. How do I use that to graph it? And that's what this lesson is going to be about, okay? All right, so y equals mx plus b. Okay? In that slope-intercept form formula, let's go over what the letters stand for. Obviously, our y and our x stand for our x and y coordinates. But the m is my slope. And you know what the slope is? The slope is the tilt of a line. Think about some of you guys who've been snow skiing. You know, you go skiing on a slope that looks like that, slightly downhill. Or that might be the beginner slope. Maybe the more advanced slope might be like that, a little steeper. So when we talk about slope, it tells us how steep the line is, okay? So in our formula, the m, the number in front of the x, stands for the slope. And slope is rise over run. Okay? And when I say rise, how much up or down? Divided by the run, how much left or right? Okay? So the m in our formula is the slope. Slope is rise over run, the up or down over the left or the right. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I think the one we just did was y equals 3 over 2x minus 5, I believe it was. Okay? Real quick before we dive into this example, the b is the y-intercept. And think about what that word sounds like. Y-intercept. It sounds a lot like intersect. And that's going to be the point where your line crosses the y-axis. Okay? So check this out. Y equals 3 over 2x minus b. I know the m is what's in front of the x, so the m is 3 over 2. And the b is the number by itself. The b is -5, okay? So we know how to get it in this form, y equals mx plus b. Now we know that the m is what's in front of the x. And guys, it's okay for the m to be a fraction. That's actually what we want. And the b, the y-intercept, is the number that comes after the x term. So I'm going to show you now how to graph that. Okay? Y equals 3 over 2x minus 5. The slope is 3 over 2. And the y-intercept is -5. Watch how easy this is, guys. We don't need to do any t-chart. We don't have to pick 3 values. We don't have to plug them in. One, two, three, four, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, watch how easy this is now. I don't have to do the t-chart. We always, when we're graphing using slope-intercept form, we always start at the y-intercept. Y-intercept, guys, that's where the line is going to cross the y-axis. So I know that it's going to cross the y-axis at -5. So I go to -5 on the y-axis. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So I know it's going to cross. My line's going to cross that axis right there. But now I'm going to use the slope to find more points, okay? And the top number in our slope, it's rise over run. So 3 is going to be how much I rise. And because it's positive, obviously that means up. So I'm going to rise 3. 1, 2, 3. And the run is also a positive number, 2. Think about what direction we go for +2 when we're running. Positive is to the right. So I'm going to go rise 3, up 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to run 1, 2. Now the best thing about this form, guys, I just keep going up 3, right 2, and I can find as many points as I want. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that's a little bit off. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay? And I can keep going. Up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2. And it would all be on that line. Okay? Okay? Now, a couple other things to go over with slope. Now we know that m in y equals mx plus b stands for the slope. That m is your slope. If the slope is positive, the line will go up as you move from left to right. If the slope is negative, the line will look like that. As you go from left to right, it goes down. So a positive slope looks like this, and a negative slope looks like this. So, let's try this. Let's say I had a slope of -1/3. How do I know whether the negative is goes with the 1 or with the 3? Well, it doesn't matter. It can go with the 1 or it can go with the 3. It just can't go with both. So check this out. Let's say I started at this point right here. Okay? and I use this slope, I would go down 1, right 3. Down 1, right 3. But if I use this one, rise, I'd go up 1, negative 3, left 3. Up 1, left 3. Up 1, left 3. It's all on the same line, okay? So when you have a negative slope, as it goes from left to right, it goes down. And make sure that the negative's either with the top or the bottom, but it can't be with both, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So when you see a negative slope, it has to go down from left to right. Let's try one more example. Okay? Let's go 2x minus y equals 1. Okay? Very first step is to get the y by itself. I have to subtract 2x. That cancels. I'm left with a negative y equals 1 minus 2x. Those are unlike terms, but I want the x term in front. The x term in front. So it's negative 2x plus 1. But notice the y is not by itself yet. This is like negative 1y. So I'm going to divide each term by negative 1. So I get y equals, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 2 divided by 1 is 2x. Positive 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. Y equals 2x minus 1. So I put it in slope-intercept form. Now we're going to use the slope-intercept form to graph it, okay? Now, I hope you're saying, well, coach, you told me slope was rise over run. You told me that the number in front of the x was the slope, rise over run. But this one right here is not a fraction. It's a whole number. Well, let me show you what you got to do for that. Okay? Okay? Y equals mx plus b. The m is 2. But wait, we want the slope to be a fraction. Rise over run. Well, don't we know the whole number 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1? Yes. And the b here, the y-intercept, is negative 1. So here we go. It's this easy. Always start at the y-intercept. It's going to cross this y-axis at negative 1. That's where we're going to start. Now we're going to use the slope of 2 over 1. That's rise 2, 1, 2, and run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Now, going up 2, right 1 is the same thing. Is it negative 2 divided by negative 1 the same thing as positive 2 over 1? It is. And this one right here means up 2, right 1. But this one right here means down 2, left 1. So look, down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1. It's all on the same line. And guys, I'm not going to go through it, but if we took this and made ourselves a T-chart, okay, and we picked 3 x values, we plug those x values in. Watch this. Let's plug in 0 for x. Y equals 2 times 0 minus 1. Y equals 0 minus 1. Y equals negative 1. When x is 0, y should be negative 1. Let's make sure this point is on our line. Check this out. The point 0, -1 is right there. So yes, it's on my line. So it doesn't matter what point you would pick. I guarantee you they'll be on that line. We just have a way easier way of graphing it now, okay? So homework for today is going to be this. I'm going to give you the equations, and it's going to be the ones you have to put in slope-intercept form first, and then I want you to graph them by using slope-intercept form, by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. Remember, you always start at the y-intercept, then use the slope to find more points, okay? And guys, we're going to ease into this. I know this is new, this is different, and it could be difficult, okay? But just bear with me, we'll get through it, okay? So slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope, the b is the y-intercept. Thanks, guys.